Have you ever wondered why the greatest civilizations of Africa are so often overlooked? Why do we know so little about kingdoms that once held immense power, wealth, and influence? Civilizations that dominated vast territories, led cultural revolutions, and left legacies that still echo today, yet remain largely absent from mainstream history. This isn't just an oversight, it's a hidden story, a truth that has been buried by time, invasions, and neglect. It's time to lift the veil, to ask the right questions, and finally discover what we've been missing. What made the Songhai Empire the largest and wealthiest in West Africa, rivaling even the great kingdoms of the Mediterranean? What fueled its meteoric rise to power, and why did it crumble so quickly, leaving only whispers of its grandeur in the winds of the Sahara? How did the Aksum Kingdom, once a mighty empire in the Horn of Africa, not only influence the course of African history, but also help lay the foundations of Christianity as we know it today? And what made the Oyo Empire, with its disciplined military and vast political structure, one of the most feared forces in West Africa? These are the lost kingdoms, hidden in the folds of history, whose stories have long been obscured by the sands of time, yet their impact is undeniable, shaping the world in profound ways. The Songhai Empire, the Aksum Kingdom, and the Oyo Empire were not just empires, they were forces of nature, civilizations that defined the very cultural, economic, and spiritual landscape of their time. However, despite their monumental achievements, their tales have often been left untold or underappreciated. In this video, we'll embark on a journey to uncover the mysteries of these forgotten empires. From the scholarly streets of Timbuktu in Songhai, to the towering obelisks of Aksum, to the military ingenuity of Oyo, we'll peel back the layers of history and explore how these kingdoms rose to power, shaped global trade, fostered advancements in culture and religion, and ultimately, why they fell. So, what if I told you that these lost kingdoms still have much to teach us today? That the legacies they left behind are still alive, influencing everything from modern-day politics to global culture? The time has come to bring these empires back to the forefront of history. Join us as we journey through time to uncover the lost African kingdoms you've never heard of, but should never forget. The Songhai Empire was once a shimmering jewel of West Africa, a testament to the power of ambition, strategic location, and cultural dynamism. Spanning a vast area that reached from the heart of the Sahel to the edges of the Sahara, it was one of the most significant empires in African history, and yet, many of us know so little about it. Nestled along the Niger River, the empire flourished in the 15th and 16th centuries, becoming a center for trade, learning, and political power. But how did this empire, so grand and prosperous, ultimately fade into the dust of history? The rise of the Songhai Empire is nothing short of extraordinary. The empire's origins can be traced back to the city of Gao, a trading hub situated along the Niger River. Gao, with its fertile land and strategic position, became a beacon for traders, drawing merchants from across the African continent and beyond. As the wealth from trade poured in, the kingdom began to expand, absorbing neighboring territories and establishing control over critical trans-Saharan trade routes. This expansion continued with remarkable speed and precision, eventually turning Songhai into a dominant force in West Africa by the late 15th century. At the heart of Songhai's success was its remarkable leadership, particularly under the rule of Askia Muhammad. Askia Muhammad came to power in the late 15th century and played a pivotal role in transforming Songhai into a formidable empire. His leadership ushered in a golden age that saw the empire reach its peak. Askia Muhammad was not only a capable military strategist, but also a visionary leader who recognized the importance of maintaining peace within the empire and promoting trade and culture. Under his rule, Songhai expanded further, and its borders reached their zenith, encompassing regions of modern-day Mali, Niger, Nigeria, and Burkina Faso. Timbuktu, already a flourishing city under the Mali Empire, became an intellectual and cultural capital within Songhai. It was here, in the quiet streets lined with ancient libraries and bustling markets, that scholars, artists, and philosophers from across the Muslim world gathered. The city of Timbuktu stood as a shining example of Songhai's cultural and intellectual dominance. Timbuktu was not just a commercial center, but a beacon of knowledge. The city housed some of the most prestigious universities of the time, where scholars wrote treatises on mathematics, astronomy, and philosophy. The intellectual wealth of the city was unparalleled, attracting scholars from across the Muslim world, including those from Egypt, Morocco, and even the Middle East. The Songhai Empire's role in the preservation and dissemination of knowledge cannot be overstated. The vast libraries of Timbuktu contained thousands of manuscripts, many of which survived the ravages of time and conflict, serving as a testament to the intellectual prowess of Songhai's scholars. During the Golden Age, the empire's reach and influence extended far beyond its borders, and its wealth, both material and intellectual, flourished in a way that few other civilizations could rival. However, Songhai's influence was not limited to trade and culture. The empire's scientific contributions were profound, particularly in the fields of mathematics, astronomy, and medicine. Songhai scholars were keenly interested in advancing knowledge in these disciplines, and they did so with remarkable success. For example, mathematicians in Songhai developed advanced techniques for calculating time, which were crucial for the empire's agriculture and religious practices. Songhai's astronomers were able to track the movements of the stars with remarkable accuracy, contributing significantly to the understanding of celestial bodies and their influence on the earth. The empire's achievements in medicine also reflected an advanced understanding of human anatomy and healing practices, as evidenced by the herbal remedies and medical knowledge that were passed down through generations. Despite its brilliance, the Songhai Empire eventually faced significant challenges that would ultimately lead to its decline. While the empire was at its peak, internal strife began to weaken its foundations. Political instability, factionalism, and a series of succession crises took their toll on the empire's unity. Additionally, as Songhai expanded, it became increasingly difficult to manage its vast territories, leading to tensions between the central government and regional leaders. These internal challenges were compounded by external threats, particularly from Morocco. In 1591, the Moroccans, seeking control over the gold-rich region of West Africa, launched an invasion of Songhai. Armed with firearms, an innovation that Songhai had not yet mastered, the Moroccan forces were able to decisively defeat the Songhai military, which relied primarily on traditional weapons like swords and spears. The Battle of Tondibi, fought near the city of Gao, marked the beginning of the end for Songhai. Despite its once thriving cities and vast wealth, the empire was unable to withstand the force of Moroccan gunpowder technology. The invasion shattered Songhai's military power, and within a few years, its once great empire was fragmented into smaller, weaker kingdoms. This marked the beginning of the empire's decline, as its political and economic infrastructure collapsed. The fall of Songhai is a sobering reminder of the impermanence of even the greatest empires. The legacy of the Songhai Empire, however, endures. Its contributions to African culture, science, and history continue to shape the world today. The knowledge preserved in Timbuktu's libraries is still revered by scholars, and the impact of Songhai's intellectual and cultural achievements can be seen in the ongoing reverence for African scholarship and arts. The empire's role as a center of trade also helped lay the groundwork for the economic exchanges that shaped Africa's relationship with the rest of the world. The influence of Songhai's scholars can still be felt in the modern-day pursuit of knowledge, particularly in the fields of science, mathematics, and history. In the grand tapestry of African history, the Songhai Empire occupies a central place. Its rise to power, its golden age of culture and learning, and its eventual downfall serve as both an inspiration and a warning. Today, as we look back at Songhai, we must remember that its legacy is not confined to the past. It is a part of the living history of Africa, a reminder that greatness was once forged in the heart of the Sahel, and that those who built it are still with us in spirit, inspiring the generations that follow. The Aksum Kingdom, once a powerful and influential empire in the Horn of Africa, remains a fascinating but often overlooked chapter in the history of the ancient world. Located in modern-day Ethiopia and Eritrea, Aksum was uniquely positioned as a strategic hub for trade, connecting Africa to the Arabian Peninsula, India, and beyond. For centuries, the kingdom flourished, and its influence spanned not just the African continent, but the entire ancient world. Yet, as with many great empires, Aksum's story is shrouded in mystery, particularly regarding its rise and eventual fall. Aksum's rise to power was tied to its geography, as it stood at the crossroads of key trade routes. Situated between the Red Sea and the Ethiopian highlands, Aksum became the ideal location for trade. With access to both African and international markets, the kingdom controlled the vital trade routes connecting sub-Saharan Africa to the Mediterranean world and beyond, particularly to the Roman Empire, India, and Arabia. This enabled Aksum to become a flourishing center of commerce, attracting traders from across the ancient world. Aksum was not only a trade center for gold, ivory, and frankincense, but also a key player in the global exchange of goods, ideas, and culture. Its strategic location ensured that it was not just a participant in global trade, but a major player, and this prosperity laid the groundwork for Aksum's golden age. The golden age of Aksum was marked by remarkable achievements, both architectural and technological. The kingdom's most enduring symbols are the towering obelisks that still stand today, scattered across the landscape like ancient sentinels. These massive stone structures, some standing more than 20 meters tall, were constructed as memorials for kings and nobles. Their sheer size and engineering complexity demonstrate the advanced skills of Aksumite builders, who mastered stone cutting and engineering long before many other civilizations. The obelisks were not just architectural feats, but also symbols of Aksum's grandeur and its dominance over the surrounding regions. These monuments served as a testament to the kingdom's power, wealth, and cultural sophistication. Aksum's maritime power was also a crucial component of its success. The kingdom was one of the earliest to establish a strong presence in the Red Sea trade network, a critical passage for goods traveling between the Mediterranean and India. Aksumite merchants controlled trade routes that allowed them to exchange goods such as gold, ivory, and slaves, while also importing luxury items like glassware, silk, and wine. The kingdom's strong navy protected its merchant ships, ensuring that the flow of goods continued unabated. Aksum's dominance in maritime trade not only boosted its wealth but also established its influence across the Arabian Peninsula and into India, further solidifying its role as a global power. Perhaps one of Aksum's most remarkable achievements was its adoption of Christianity in the 4th century, making it one of the first kingdoms in the world to do so. Under King Ezana, Aksum officially embraced Christianity as the state religion, a move that would have profound effects on the history of the kingdom and the region. Aksum's conversion to Christianity predates the spread of the religion throughout Europe, marking a pivotal moment in the kingdom's cultural evolution. King Ezana's decision to adopt Christianity helped establish Aksum as a leading religious power in the Horn of Africa. It is believed that Ezana was inspired by his interaction with Christian missionaries from the Roman Empire, and his decision to make Christianity the state religion was an act that tied Aksum to the larger Christian world. This move also helped Aksum solidify its influence over neighboring regions, particularly in the Horn of Africa, where Christianity would become a central part of the cultural and religious identity for centuries to come. The cultural impact of Christianity on Aksum was far-reaching. The kingdom became a center of Christian scholarship, and it was during this period that the Ge'ez script used for writing the ancient language of Ethiopia was developed. This script would later become the foundation for Ethiopia's rich literary and religious traditions. Churches were built across Aksum, some of which still stand today as important sites of pilgrimage for Ethiopian Orthodox Christians. The fusion of Aksum's indigenous beliefs with Christian teachings created a unique cultural and religious identity that persists to this day in Ethiopia. Despite its achievements, the Aksum Kingdom eventually began to decline, and historians continue to debate the exact causes of its fall. Several theories have been put forward, including climate change, resource depletion, and invasions from neighboring regions. One of the most widely accepted explanations is that a shift in climate led to the depletion of resources in the region, particularly the overuse of agricultural land. This may have led to food shortages and economic instability, which, combined with internal strife, weakened the kingdom's power. Additionally, the rise of Islam in the 7th century may have played a role in Aksum's decline. As Arab traders began to control the Red Sea and the Indian Ocean, Aksum's dominance in maritime trade began to wane, and its economy suffered as a result. The gradual decline in the power of the Aksumite monarchy, combined with external pressures, led to the eventual fragmentation of the kingdom. Aksum's decline was also marked by a shift in power to other kingdoms in the region, particularly the rise of the Zagwe dynasty and the later establishment of the Ethiopian Empire. Despite its fall, Aksum's cultural and religious legacy remained strong. The conversion to Christianity in the 4th century laid the foundation for the development of a distinct Ethiopian Christian tradition, one that continues to this day. The ancient city of Aksum, once the heart of this great kingdom, remains a UNESCO World Heritage Site and a symbol of Ethiopia's rich historical and cultural heritage. The obelisks, churches, and ruins of Aksum continue to attract visitors and scholars from around the world, serving as a reminder of the kingdom's once great influence. The legacy of Aksum extends far beyond its borders and has had a lasting impact on the culture, religion, and history of Ethiopia and the wider Horn of Africa. The kingdom's early adoption of Christianity shaped the religious landscape of the region, and its contributions to art, architecture, and literature continue to resonate today. Aksum's role in trade and its influence on the development of Christian scholarship and culture in Ethiopia cannot be overstated. In many ways, the Kingdom of Aksum laid the foundations for the modern Ethiopian state and its unique identity. Though the kingdom itself may have faded into history, its enduring influence on the culture and religion of the Horn of Africa lives on, shaping the region in profound ways. Aksum's rise, golden age, decline, and legacy remind us of the power of strategic location, cultural innovation, and religious transformation. It was a kingdom that stood as a bridge between Africa and the world, and its story remains one of the most captivating in African history. From its obelisks to its role in the spread of Christianity, Aksum's influence continues to shape the world in ways that are often forgotten. As we reflect on its legacy, we are reminded that the ancient world is still alive within us, waiting to be rediscovered. The Oyo Empire, located in what is now modern-day Nigeria, stands as one of the most powerful and influential empires in West African history. Positioned strategically between the Niger River and the coastal regions, Oyo thrived for several centuries from the 14th century to the early 19th century, exerting both political and military dominance. Its success can be attributed to a combination of factors, including its advanced military structure, a well-organized political system, and its strong economic base. The Oyo Empire was a model of political and military power, and its influence stretched across West Africa, reaching into regions of present-day Benin, Togo, and beyond. The heart of Oyo's power lay in its military prowess. Unlike many empires of the time, Oyo established a disciplined and highly organized military structure, which became the backbone of its expansion and success. The empire's army was renowned for its cavalry, which was one of the most effective and formidable in Africa. The cavalry, made up of skilled horsemen, was equipped with both traditional weapons and early firearms, giving Oyo a significant edge over its rivals. This military strength allowed the Oyo Empire to conquer neighboring territories, establish its dominance in the region, and maintain control over its vast expanse. However, the military might of the Oyo Empire was not solely reliant on brute force. It also utilized advanced strategies and tactics, including intelligence networks and well-coordinated warfare, making the Oyo army one of the most feared forces in West Africa. The political structure of the Oyo Empire was equally sophisticated. It was a hierarchical system that blended traditional Yoruba governance with a more centralized form of rule. At the top of this structure was the Alafin, the king, who was both a political and spiritual leader. The Alafin was regarded as the divine ruler, believed to have been chosen by the gods to lead the people. However, the political system also included a council of nobles and military leaders who advised the Alafin and played a crucial role in governance. Below the Alafin, the empire was divided into provinces, each ruled by a governor who was responsible for maintaining order and ensuring the empire's prosperity. This decentralized system allowed for a relatively efficient administration, even across the vast territory controlled by Oyo. At the peak of the Oyo Empire's power, it boasted a thriving economy, which was primarily based on agriculture, trade, and tribute. Agriculture was the backbone of the empire's economy, with crops such as yams, millet, and sorghum being staple foods. These crops, along with livestock, provided the foundation for Oyo's self-sufficiency. The Oyo people were skilled farmers, and their agricultural surplus was used not only to feed the population, but also to trade with neighboring regions. In addition to agriculture, Oyo's economic success was fueled by its extensive trade networks, which extended across West Africa. The empire traded a variety of goods, including gold, salt, and slaves, with neighboring kingdoms, as well as with merchants from the North African and European worlds. Oyo's strategic location along trade routes allowed it to become a significant commercial hub, facilitating the exchange of goods and ideas across vast distances. Oyo's military and economic success was also supported by a robust religious and cultural foundation. The Yoruba people, who formed the core of the empire, practiced a rich and complex religious tradition that centered around the worship of Orunmila, the deity of wisdom, knowledge, and destiny. Orunmila was revered as the divine force that guided both the individual and the community, and his wisdom was believed to be the key to prosperity. Religious practices in Oyo were deeply intertwined with politics, and the Alafin's authority was often justified through his divine connection to Orunmila. Temples and shrines dedicated to Orunmila were built throughout the empire, and the spiritual life of the Oyo people was central to their identity. This religious framework not only helped to solidify the power of the Alafin, but also ensured that the people of Oyo remained united under a shared cultural and spiritual vision. Despite its many strengths, the Oyo Empire eventually began to decline, and historians have proposed several factors that contributed to its fall. The first of these was external conflict. Oyo, like many empires, faced constant pressure from neighboring states and rivals. The rise of the Dahomey Kingdom to the west posed a significant threat to Oyo's dominance in the region. The two empires clashed frequently, and the wars drained Oyo's resources and weakened its military. Additionally, the arrival of European colonial powers in the 19th century altered the balance of power in West Africa, and Oyo found itself increasingly vulnerable to foreign influence and intervention. Internal issues also played a crucial role in Oyo's decline. Over time, the political system became more fragmented, with regional leaders and military commanders gaining more power and autonomy. This decentralization weakened the authority of the Alafin, and internal disputes over succession and leadership further destabilized the empire. The once cohesive political structure became a source of tension as various factions within the empire vied for control. The inability to maintain unity and stability within the empire ultimately led to its downfall. By the late 18th century, Oyo's power had waned, and the empire fell into decline. Internal revolts, external invasions, and the weakening of its military infrastructure combined to bring about the end of the Oyo Empire. The empire was finally destroyed in the early 19th century when it was sacked by the forces of the Fulani Jihad, which had swept through much of West Africa. The fall of Oyo marked the end of one of West Africa's most powerful and influential empires, but its legacy lived on. The impact of the Oyo Empire continues to be felt today, particularly among the Yoruba people. The cultural and religious traditions of Oyo have endured, influencing the art, music, and spiritual practices of contemporary Yoruba communities. The worship of Orunmila and the belief in the interconnectedness of destiny and wisdom remain central to Yoruba religion. Furthermore, the political structures of Oyo, with its blend of centralized and decentralized governance, have left a lasting imprint on the political systems of modern-day Nigeria. The Oyo Empire's legacy is also reflected in the widespread use of the Yoruba language, which is spoken by millions of people across West Africa and in diaspora communities around the world. The rise and fall of the Oyo Empire serve as a powerful reminder of the complexities of empire building and the delicate balance between military might, political structure, and cultural cohesion. Oyo's legacy as a military and economic powerhouse, combined with its cultural and religious influence, continues to resonate through the centuries. Its story is not just one of triumph and decline, but of resilience, wisdom, and the enduring strength of the Yoruba people. Though the empire itself may have fallen, the spirit of Oyo lives on in the hearts and minds of those who remember its grandeur. As we draw to the close of this journey through the lost African kingdoms, it's clear that the Songhai, Aksum, and Oyo empires were far more than just forgotten relics of the past. These empires were vibrant centers of culture, knowledge, and power, each with a unique legacy that continues to influence the world today. From the vast trade networks and intellectual achievements of the Songhai Empire to the architectural wonders and early Christian heritage of Aksum, to the military might and political sophistication of Oyo, these kingdoms shaped the course of history in ways that are often overshadowed by other, more widely known civilizations. Yet their stories are just as crucial to understanding the global narrative. The Songhai Empire, once the largest and wealthiest empire in West Africa, demonstrated the power of strategic location and intellectual capital. Its legacy in trade, culture, and scholarship is monumental, particularly in the city of Timbuktu, which became a beacon of knowledge, drawing scholars from across the Islamic world. The empire's rise and fall teach us that even the most prosperous civilizations can crumble under the weight of internal strife and external pressures. Yet Songhai's intellectual contributions live on, reminding us of the importance of knowledge and education in shaping the future. Aksum, with its monumental obelisks and role as a maritime power, was an empire that bridged Africa with the wider world. Its early adoption of Christianity in the 4th century set it apart as a trailblazer in religious history, influencing not only the Horn of Africa, but the global spread of Christianity. The decline of Aksum, shrouded in mystery, reminds us that even the most powerful empires are vulnerable to environmental, political, and economic changes. But Aksum's legacy endures in Ethiopia's rich Christian traditions and its lasting impact on African religious and cultural identity. The Oyo Empire, with its disciplined military and political systems, represents one of the most sophisticated kingdoms in West African history. Its cavalry, economic power, and deeply rooted religious practices gave it unparalleled influence in the region. Oyo's fall was the result of both external conflict and internal division, serving as a cautionary tale about the fragility of even the most powerful empires. However, its cultural and spiritual legacy continues to thrive among the Yoruba people, whose traditions, language, and beliefs remain central to their identity today. These empires were not just footnotes in history, they were vital forces that shaped the African continent and, by extension, the world. Yet, for too long, their stories have been neglected, overshadowed by other histories that have dominated the global narrative. It is crucial that we remember these lost empires, not just as academic exercises or historical curiosities, but as living legacies that continue to shape the world around us. The contributions of Songhai, Aksum, and Oyo remind us that Africa's history is not just rich, but foundational to the development of human civilization. These empires were not isolated or backward, but were, in fact, vibrant, dynamic societies that interacted with and influenced the broader world. Understanding their stories helps us recognize the depth and complexity of African history, which has often been overlooked or misrepresented. By exploring the legacies of these lost kingdoms, we can better understand the world we live in today, its politics, its cultures, and its ongoing struggles for identity, justice, and equality. The stories of the Songhai, Aksum, and Oyo empires are not merely historical lessons. They are keys to unlocking a deeper understanding of the world and our place in it. So I encourage you to dig deeper into African history, learn about the countless other civilizations that have shaped the continent and, in turn, the world. Take the time to explore the wealth of knowledge that lies within these lost empires. Subscribe to this channel for more content that sheds light on these forgotten stories, and share your thoughts with us in the comments. What did you find most fascinating about these empires? Which part of their legacy resonates with you? Let's keep the conversation going, not just about the past, but about how we can build a more informed and connected future by remembering the forgotten corners of history. The history of Africa is rich, complex, and above all, essential to understanding the present. Let's continue to uncover these stories and ensure that the legacies of the Songhai, Aksum, and Oyo empires and many others are never forgotten.